What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Archill podcast. Today I'm joined with John Kojiro Moriwaka, aka Crazy John. He's the CEO of Silicon Valley Ventures and director of 3 different startup grind chapters in Japan. Besides that, John is a recognized Japanese businessman, columnist, visiting professor, rapper, and painter. He's an advisor to many startups and global companies, venture capital firms, and mentor in many accelerator programs all around the world. In this conversation, we talked a lot about his background, investing in general, and Japanese startup ecosystem. So, if you're interested in entrepreneurship, enough talking, and let's directly dive into my conversation with John Kojiro Moriwaka. Enjoy. Okay, hi John. I know you have this amazing nickname, Crazy John. Can you share how you got that?
Actually, thank you for inviting me. A great podcast. I'm so honored to be here. Galma Jos, everyone. My name is Kojiro Moriwaka, but people call me Crazy John. And John is actually a nickname given by a very famous professor after I gave a talk about entrepreneurship after I graduated from Harvard Business School, came back to Japan from Boston, because there is a very famous Japanese advisor, and he actually made an English dictionary, first English dictionary in the history of Japan. His name is John Manjiro, and he became an advisor for many government projects and the companies, and I could be like him in the future. So the famous professor named me after his name. So because Manjiro and Kojiro sound similar, so John Manjiro and then John Kojiro. Then I became John Kojiro Moriwaka. But John is actually only like a copycat of him. And I think I'll be crazier than him. So because I'm also rapper and painter, professor, and columnist and entrepreneur and advisor of many startups and VCs. So I started calling myself Crazy John.
Okay, awesome. I think people should know you to understand why they're calling you Crazy John, because you are like one of the most proactive people I've ever met, because we met in Georgia like a couple of days ago, and that's pretty amazing. And you mentioned this painting and rapping, so I'm super curious about about those hobbies you have, right? I mean, not every another entrepreneur is a rapper, right? So can you share how you ended up there?
Actually, since I was 3 years old, my passion is painting. And my at the kindergarten, there is a painting class, and I really like it. Since then, I've been painting since I was 3. Then since I was 10, I started to write a poem. And because my another grandfather was poet, and he's the one actually named me Kojiro, means happy second son. So I started to write a poem about expressing my feelings. And then when I was 18, 20, really into hip hop. And then after aged about 30 years old, start to rap about my feelings. So my passion is actually not only painting and rapping, because I love to express my feelings. It's a freedom expression. So entrepreneurship is all about freedom of expression, and try to change to the actually have an impact to the world. So it's like it could be hip hop, it could be poem, it could be painting to express your feelings.
Okay, so my next question was about I think you kind of already answered that, but can we draw some parallels between these amazing, completely different fields like hip hop, like painting and entrepreneurship? I mean, so as you said, uh, all of them can help us express our feelings, right? In some sense. Can you kind of elaborate a bit more on what are some common stuff between those 3 things?
Garmajos. Thank you. Actually, it's a different tools to actually changing the world. Because how to change the world is you have to express your feelings. Feeling is actually more stronger than actually like a technology. Actually, feelings or create your energy, and that your energy actually make your vision to change the world, to actually attract your team members or customers or partners. So even like you becoming a successful entrepreneur, you have a feeling to start with, maybe it could be anger or sadness. And if you don't have anger, how could you motivate yourself to make everyone happier? So I think like being a rapper is actually showing your strongness, to actually willing to change yourself and change the society. It's very similar. I think it's very similar to be an artist. Could be like an artist, also very similar to be entrepreneurs. And if an entrepreneur has lots of passion and a purpose, many people want to invest in you, believe in you, and start to work with you. So I think entrepreneurship, hip hop, and painting is kind of similar in a way.
Okay, got it. And by the way, I mean, are you more about like old school hip hop or new school?
We are kind of mixed. Our actually crew is called Riverlands Entertainment in the western part of Tokyo. And I'm part of their crew for a long time. This year was actually 20 years anniversary of our crew.
Oh, cool.
And we released actually album together for 20 years anniversary. And three songs actually I participated. And also today I love to play my first single song called "Down with Us." Me myself called Gifted as my rapper name. Gifted featuring Dirty Ray. It's called "Down with Us." And if you want to change the word, come down with us. So please
Oh,
enjoy
that's
this song.
super amazing. And maybe you can just drop me a link after our episode, and I can share with our listeners in this podcast, like your
Sure,
hip hop
sure.
video.
Thanks. Yeah,
Awesome. That would be great. Okay, now uh, we talked a bit about your hobbies, painting, hip hop, but now let's move to our kind of primary topic of today's podcast, like entrepreneurship. So obviously, like you started somehow, right? So what was your first venture? Can you tell us?
actually, it was like ages ago when I was 3 years old. So my mother is a very good cook, like I know chef. So I really like enjoy eating her food, and I thought like lifting over the food is actually waste of like money, and also I wanted to use the food to enjoy, make everyone enjoy it. So I went to see the neighbor's house and asked him to give me the plastic actually box. Then went back to home and I actually put like food very nicely, like become a bento box. Then I went to, I didn't know the marketing or pricing, so I just put like a $10 on it. So I went to try to find the customers. But I come from a very small town and near the beach, and there's no people on the beach. Like maybe like a 10 a.m. I was like, no beach, no dogs. Maybe there's a fish. And then I couldn't find the customers. So I went back to his house and asked him, this is a very tasty bento box. Would you like to buy it? And then he gave me $10 note. So it took me about 20 minutes to make like a $10 by myself when I was age 3. Since then, I've been a very good salesman.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty inspiring story because like yeah, yeah, that's super amazing. So and can we like kind of fast forward like couple years like after that from where when you were like 3 years old. So
Sure.
I think
I,
I think at Data Fest Tbilisi like a couple days ago, you were presenting and there was one slide where you kind of named all those companies and startups where you're involved in, and there were like lots of them. Okay, and I was thinking that uh, this man like couldn't have uh, uh, appeared here like immediately, right? He should have kind of passed some journey. So can you kind of walk through the first steps, how you got there, like having lots of startups and lots of venture kind of activities on your side?
yeah. And actually, when I was like 5 to 6, I started to help my uncle's restaurant. So my crazy uncle suddenly became an Italian chef, and we all start to help. But this kind of new things, like creating a new company or restaurant or anything, and start to help. I have no clue to how to help, but just do it. And by doing to and same time learning it and seeing the customer every day, and I kind of figure out how to actually make everyone happy and how to manage the restaurant together. So that was really great experience for meeting customers and his employees. Actually, in the beginnings, everyone's super motivated when many customers come to the restaurant. But when restaurant is like, Wednesday, no customers, when it's raining, no customers, and and everyone start to be down. And it's same as a startup. When your friends are starting a startup, I just start to help. So I just, I just have, it's like all about serendipity and how we meet. And when people meet me, and I listen to them and what they need, and I tell them what I think and how to improve himself or herself, how to talk to customers and negotiate with investors. And naturally, I figure out kind of becoming the advisor. And so many names actually I can say, but we have failed so tons of companies already for last 10 years, and only few actually great success. So it's like very hard game. We're really enjoying doing it. And doing this game for 10 years in startup ecosystem, US and Japan mainly. Now I often go to Europe as well. But by looking at more expensive entrepreneurs, always with like supporters, which are acceleration programs and investors. And also I want to help startups. So I start to be a mentor of acceleration programs in Silicon Valley. Now, after 10 years, I become a mentor of over 20 acceleration programs all over the world. And after helping acceleration programs, start to help many venture capitals. And now I'm venture partner of two VCs and two venture capitals for investment and helping startups.
Okay, just a follow-up question. So you, as I understand, are kind of an expert in entrepreneurship, right? You can give very valuable advices to others and just get involved in startups that way. And so can entrepreneurship be taught, or you need to fail yourself a lot and learn that way? What do you think?
I think there are two ways for learning and getting entrepreneurship. And I also teach in the universities or also giving talks about entrepreneurship around the world. And I also learned some basics knowledge from the university in Australia. And I went to three bachelors at Sydney University. And actually, I don't really remember why I learned. And I dropped out from the university. I just remember the moment. 3 months before graduation, and I started to help a hip hop record company called Riverlands Entertainment in west side of Tokyo. Still belong to them. It was destiny that I met them on YouTube. But I kind of entrepreneurship is actually believing in yourself and believing in people you actually meet before they becoming famous. We are not the famous yet, even after 20 years. But I believe in them, and then we can actually have an impact to the world. It's like not becoming a success in the selling lots of downloads or getting downloads or records or recognized by many people. Actually, my success is really different. Not becoming like unicorn or becoming building multinational companies. My success is working with people, really great people I can respect and with love. So this is my kind of entrepreneurship with love. But by doing like working with them and this kind of entrepreneurship, same as working with entrepreneurs, not only rappers. This is like building something creative, like beautiful thing, have an impact. This is entrepreneurship. On the other hand, actually, we can actually also run entrepreneurship from the university education or acceleration programs. Of course, entrepreneurship or becoming success entrepreneur in the startup games, and you need to learn the finance skills like accounting skills, marketing skills, and also branding skills, and also product development for customers, and of course PMF, product market fit. All of these things like kind of entrepreneurship education needed. So you can learn it from the UI professor or textbooks, or even like you can Google it on by ChatGPT. But actually, this is like not memorizing things. It's doing things is more important than just learning in the universities. So entrepreneurship all about traveling around the world with your feelings and souls, and building something by yourself is like taking forever. And you need to build a team, great team internationally, and including the CEO, CTO, CFO, CMO, CEO, plus many advisors. And then you get sponsors and or also actually supporters or investors. So entrepreneurship is two things, I think.
Okay. Uh, actually, I expected that answer. I mean, entrepreneurship is not like physics, right? Where you just learn the theory and you work in theory field, right? You need lots of practice. You need to fail a lot, trial and error, get feedback, continue. So that's pretty amazing. Okay, John. So uh, now I want to kind of move on to kind of second part of our conversation, and I want to use this opportunity to have you here as a guest and talk a bit about investing. Okay. First of all, can you explain to us like difference between angel investors and a venture capital?
Sure. Angel investor is actually could be your dad or mom or your brother or girlfriend or family and friends first, because people close to you, they should trust in you for your journey for entrepreneurship. You're starting here from 0 to 1, and in the beginning nobody knows you, only your family and friends. And firstly, your investor is you. So when you want to start something, you need to invest in yourself. Not only you are using your resource or actually programming skills, you need to have a physical money to invest in yourself. Put a little bit cash, like 10K USD or something, and then create your own company and have shares. And then you talk to your dad or mom or friends or teachers or professors or anybody. And also you gotta talk to, because that money is not enough always. So maybe your dad is super rich, that may be enough. But you want to talk to strangers. They are real professional angel investors, have good names. He or she already has done angel investments and have a good track records. And then maybe in your house, near your house, there is an angel investment club. And in Georgia, actually, there is a famous angel network group. I was invited there. So you could, I don't name it, but you could call your bigger mentor and introduce you. Then you could pitch in front of any angel investor in the angel investment club's pitch competition. Then you get some money from them. Or you can actually even online and a meeting like a LinkedIn to send a bunch of emails or message to another angel clubs in Silicon Valley or different actual organization, maybe in Europe. And then, however, actually, usually angel investors invest in their actually local regions. So Silicon Valley angel investment groups actually only invest in Silicon Valley because they used to be like a entrepreneurs himself or herself, or people work for big corporations, but they have a knowledge and experience and a good network to actually hands-on to help your startups to grow in their local regions. So it's hard for you to get money from an angel investor in overseas because as I say, angel investors like to work closely with you and meet you once a week or once 2 weeks to help you in the beginning. It's not like babysitting, but they like to actually work with you because they are like kind of entrepreneurs. But sometimes these days, actually, angel networks, people used to not be entrepreneurs. They just have a normal, actually, 5-day job and become successful, or their parents are rich, second or third generation, like family businesses. So they don't really have a kind of mentality to how to help and how to talk to startups. Those people maybe you don't want to get money from, but they might be willing to actually learn from you, work with you. So if you get along with those people, those angel investors, maybe you accept cash, or if you like them or respect somehow, and you go for it with the deals. However, remember, getting money from people actually have getting your shares, they'll be part of your company. That means even you don't like or him, once a month you need to actually talk to him the how your company is doing it for next like 10 years. So not only you want to get money and from any strangers, you actually need to communicate, talk, and also listen to those angel investors, and you should get along with them personally.
You mentioned that you, uh, whether or not you like the angel investor or not, you will need to communicate him and network with him, obviously, right? And how, I mean, how huge vote do they have in the processes? I mean, are they actively involved and having their hands in your business, or they just advise and make you free to some decisions?
There are two kinds of investors, not only angel investors, VCs, could be CVC, corporate venture capital, or banks in the future. Some people really like to do hands-on when you are actually still small and they want to not control, they want to support you. So hands-on support. And on the other hand, some people, patient investors, they are very quiet. They don't really do any helps, or maybe they don't know how to do it, or they are already have a many portfolio startups, and also they have maybe different current jobs, so different projects around the world. So they're super busy, so no time for helping you. So there are two kinds.
Okay, so thanks for explaining angel investing. I think I got that. And now maybe you can tell us about venture capital as well.
So thank you, Archill. VC is actually a more professional investment company, and VCs actually also they are like actually entrepreneurs. So they are not as like compared with angel investors. Angel investors only use their own money to invest in startups. The VCs, on the other hand, they need to actually pitch to LPs, so limited partners, who are high net worth individuals and like a family office, and also companies, big corporations, and or banks or government funds, and so VCs also pitch to those LPs to get money from. So VC has a more responsibility than angel investors because they are not their own money and cash. So that's why they are very professional and hard to make decisions. And VCs have many kinds of different VCs, and they are very professional, and they need to look at you more carefully than angel investors.
So now that we walked through the ideas of angel investing and VC, venture capital, can you walk me? Can you help me understand this process from investors' perspective? What are they looking for in startups?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Achil Garmajos. So angel investors looking for actually people like them, actually like a similar people like persuading their dream and have a good impact to the society. So it's like a more people and passion and dream driven, like for the vision. And whereas like VCs actually really looking for like money, financial returns, and because as I said, VCs actually go funded by the professional, actually government fund or family office, so they need to return the money, maybe like a 3x, maybe some people want like 10x or 30x or 100x, so they need to return it. But angel investors want to get a kind of social return, but many angels are not dumb for like not only getting social returns, they also, because they're good businessmen, so they want to get money back as well. So both investors look for something common, look for actually financial returns. But when the return is like actually maybe angel investor could wait a little bit longer, but VCs want to get money back very fast. So that's why there's so many different kinds of venture capitals: early seed venture capital, and the middle stage venture capital, and late stage venture capital. They only invest in the late stage because it's more safe. And the early seed investors also just like a startups, as I said, because they couldn't get enough funding from like LPs. Even they wanna be a late stage VC. Firstly, they are like young entrepreneurs starting from very small fund. So that's why they don't have enough budget to invest in like big scale of startups or unicorns. So they like to check in the small check in the investment. So it's all about different stage of investment. Yeah.
So after all, like it's still possible to get funded even without traction, right? At a very early stage.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, without traction, it's so hard to get funding. But
Okay.
because the traction means not only like sales and like revenues or profit. Also, traction means the number of users growing. So if you can show that even you don't have your LP doesn't show that you are increasing your real profits, if it's increasing the user numbers, and it's like a future focus, it's showing that actually you are growing and eventually you get money back also and make a profits. So it's not the traction, it's kind of your homework to do the actually not only we startup CEO's job is not to try to pitch to investors. We startup as CEO's job is pitch to customers. And then when understanding the customers, you can actually talk to your CTO and product development team to actually make the product better to make customers happier. Then if customers are happier, the customers tell their friends. And then all over the world actually start to know you, and then you're gonna have a traction and improved, then you can make a profit. So actually startups fail because they just are busy of pitching in the pitch competition, but some startups don't have time to come to actually taking many programs because they are so busy of improving their products. So talk to customer is most important than talk to VCs. They'll find you if you are growing very fast.
And actually, you just absolutely answered my next question. I was going to ask, like, what should startups do to get investment? And you just absolutely answered that. Just there is no need to ask that question again.
Okay.
Okay, okay. And last but not least, we often like hear this some concepts like Series A funding, Series B funding, etc. Like lots of kind of terms, right? Some kind of an evolution of startup funding. Can you walk me through like those different stages of fundings of startups, if that's
Sure.
possible?
Sure. So in the beginning, you invest in yourself, and then your family and friends invest in you, and then you talk to professional angel network or famous angel investors invest in you. Then you get money from venture capitals, not only one venture capitals, and because the company is growing very fast, your startup needs to hire more people for marketing and also product development, like engineers or maybe designers and marketers, and also professional like a CEO. And so your company is growing very fast in the many different countries. And going to different countries, you need to pay for like your new customer, new partners or new employees. So you need more money. And because like why you need to grow very fast, because big companies will copy you and start to actually do same thing. In the end they'll find out that actually what you're doing is really good and they can copy it. And once big companies copying you, then you could be dead. So you need to fast as fast as you could be. So you need to get money from many different investors from different world. So series firstly seed round, series A, B, C, you're growing dramatically in the globally, and then D or E, maybe you're not looking for IPO, then maybe D or E, and then you exit. You could sell your company to your competitors or your partners. They could be a giant like a Microsoft or Apple or Google, the big corporations. They acquire you, and then you exit yourself.
Okay, thanks again for
or
that.
or you ignore them, you refuse to be acquired. You could go
Yeah.
IPO in Nasdaq, or you could IPO in London Stock Exchange, or could be Japan Tokyo Stock Exchange, or Singapore, or different, or Germany or Switzerland. So there are like maybe 5 to 6 different big exchange market. So you could go different market, and then you could be a multi-dollars company, need to build a multinational company's CEO. So but entrepreneurs really like to not being like big company CEO. Entrepreneurs like to quit and start on your own startup again and become a serial
Yeah, I've
entrepreneur.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and now for the final part of our conversation, as we all know, you're originally from Japan, and right now you're at home in Japan, obviously. And I would love to know a bit more about startup ecosystem in Japan, and let me start with this question. So let's say I have a startup, right? And why should I come to Japan?
Just to get a sushi.
I love sushi, by the way.
Because Japan is, still fourth largest GDP in the world after US, China, Germany, and Japan. We have a great economics and also big population. And also our country itself will have four seasons. So it's not hot, like, actually Japanese summer is getting hotter and hotter because of crazy climate. But we have four seasons. It's easier to work in the comfortable, seasons. And also Japanese people are very diligent, and it's hard to communicate in the beginning because most of Japanese people don't speak English. But experts like us working together, of course, we speak English. And once we actually getting Japanese market, the Japanese customers are not willing to change and change the product. So hard to get them the attention in the beginning. But once you work with them, and it'll be much easier. And Japanese actually no market, not many people try to come because it's hard to come because of language barrier and the culture difference. But it's good to try. Maybe at the same time and after maybe US or European market, you could try to come to Japan market for sure. Plus, for startup becoming a very startup friendly nation, government initiatives, and we have many different ecosystems. I can talk more later. And so each small governments, regional governments are willing to support you with a startup visa if you're a startup. So very easy to get a 1 year startup visa.
Yeah, and what about I got that customer-wise, Japan can be pretty interesting market for startups. But what about some educational part like accelerators or some startup programs, right? There is YC in Silicon Valley. Are there some famous programs we could use as startups in Japan?
Yeah, actually, we have our US branded acceleration programs. Like Georgia also have a 500. So we have 500 global now in the Kobe and the Aichi prefecture, two cities. And I'm part of the mentor in Japan and the US. So we have, and also Alchemist Accelerator from Silicon Valley came to Japan by Japanese government called JETRO. So JETRO is a great Japanese organization connecting Japan and the world for the trading and startup business. They are bringing many famous and now tech star is in Japan. So many US brand acceleration programs are in Japan. Plus, we have a large corporations, many multi-dollar, billion dollars corporations in Japan have our own acceleration programs. But most of Japanese accelerators backed by corporations, they are programs in Japanese language. And a few actually programs are doing it in English. So there is actually a possibility to you can apply for those programs, and it's increasing the numbers.
Yeah, and actually, based on some talks you delivered in Tbilisi, Georgia, and I attended those. It really seems to me that Japan is some kind of a startup nation, and the reason I'm thinking that is that you literally have like 8 different startup ecosystems, right, throughout the country. Can you talk a bit about those? I mean, are they is this situation like on purpose done by government, or it just happened, or how's that working?
Yeah, so Japan's ecosystem is still immature compared with, of course, Silicon Valley or Germany or even Stockholm or different startup ecosystems are actually more like perfectly developed. Even Switzerland, and they have many unicorns, or even England or India or China. The number of unicorn wise, actually Japan is still developing, and we have a lack of international actually acceleration programs. I just mentioned that only few of them. However, government's budget and initiatives, they are so serious for last couple of years. and 5 years plan by our current Prime Minister Kishida. And then also government officers announced that they have divided 8 startup ecosystems for last couple of years. So Hokkaido is a north part of Japan, not only famous for skiing anymore. So it's a north part of Japan have a huge land. So it's agri-tech, space tech, and also like food tech are actually, and also POC because they have a huge land. And the second ecosystem is the Tohoku regions, and Sendai city is in the biggest city. So they have many university students. I think 80,000 students there. And also Tohoku had a sadly earthquake and tsunami. So their prevention startups are needed. And the Tohoku University is strong with medical device and engineering, and so medtech innovation is actually developed. And then Tokyo, of course, and Yokohama. So it's a biggest startup ecosystems, even ranked number 14th in the world. And Tokyo has everything. So big corporations, and also not only supporting startups, many venture capitals now, 70 venture capitals are getting together, have a new co-working space. And also large corporation have a own co-working space together. So it's getting ready for inviting companies from all over the world. And then Nagoya, it's Toyota, the car headquarters is in Nagoya area. So it's very, very strong for mobility, and also like fundamental manufacturing, like materials, because of the Toyota is there. And then Osaka, Kansai region, have the 3 big cities, and Osaka, Kyoto, Kobe. So 3 great universities there for research and the development. So the 3 big cities, and also Osaka Expo will be held next year. So many people coming to Osaka for 6 months every day for Osaka Expo. And then Hiroshima, very, very the world's saddest history. Atomic bomb was happened, unfortunately, but because of that, and Hiroshima turning to be like SDG cities for solving social issues, and Kitakyushu in Fukuoka Prefecture. So actually, Fukuoka Prefecture has 2 big cities for 8 ecosystems. So Kitakyushu is for also used to be recognized by manufacturing. So their air pollution, air was polluted. That's why they are now also SDG cities and environmental city. So, and local small, medium-sized companies are willing to collaborate with startups. And there are a few big companies there. And Fukuoka city is also mayor is very strong, and they are also looking for startups for POC projects, and startup many events in Fukuoka. So I just summarize 8 startup ecosystems from north to south part of Japan. Of course, Tokyo is in the center, but now startups, all these 8 ecosystems provide eight startup like visas for startup for 1 year. So you can choose, you can check our government website, or or contact me to find out if you are, agri-tech or food tech, maybe go to Hokkaido. Or AI is actually everywhere is actually needed, welcomed. And or Web3 is also, many people are welcomed. So many different actually industries you are working on it. You can find out which city is welcoming you.
Boy, that's pretty amazing. I mean, having like that big of a startup ecosystem is pretty huge. So can't wait actually to get in the near future to Japan. So let's see. Okay, so as I also know, like from your resume and LinkedIn, probably you're the CEO of the company called Silicon Valley Ventures, right? Can you tell us a bit more what you do there? What you guys do
Sure.
there?
Sure. I founded Silicon Valley Ventures 9 years ago, and I wanted to help startups, and I fell in love with Silicon Valley. As that I was back and forth between Japan and Silicon Valley. Most of the time, I stayed in Silicon Valley to help startups, and learning how to run the acceleration programs, and also taking many courses at Stanford and UC Berkeley, how to be a great venture capitalists. And so I was like mixing now, not only helping startups as an advisor, also now mentoring of acceleration programs, and also same time become a VCs for advising venture capitals. So Silicon Valley Venture is not only helping startups, also working with acceleration programs, also supporting venture capitals same time. And also we do help lots of startups, we are advisor. Those startups actually helping marketing, Japan market access, also European market access, US market access. So we are connecting everybody. We are like a platform for like open innovation.
Awesome. And I guess I can go. We can go to the final part of our conversation, and I just got this very sweet topic for the end.
Okay.
So there is this. I can call it a community group called a startup grind. It originated from Silicon Valley, I guess, but now like lots of countries have their own chapters, and we also have one in Georgia, Tbilisi chapter of Startup Grind, and that's where we first met, I guess, a couple of days ago. And you are the director of Tokyo chapter in Japan, or?
Yeah, Tokyo, Nagoya, and the Fukuoka chapters, 3 chapters.
And just one thing before I ask you to tell us more about Startup Grind in Japan. I mean, the one super kind of surprising thing when I joined Startup Grind community as a volunteer a couple of years ago was that how kind and how genuine all these people around this community are. And you are once again actual proof of that as well, that Startup Grind community member in Japan is like similarly genuine and actually very good person to communicate with, just like people in Georgia. And I'm pretty sure that in other Startup Grind communities as well. So I think it's a very special place. I really love the idea and the community. So maybe you can tell us about Startup Grind Japan.
Sure. I fell in love with the startup grind culture in Silicon Valley about 8 to 9 years ago, and yeah, and I listened to. Actually, I was hanging around with friends at 42 Silicon Valley. It's a free engineering school in Silicon Valley from France. And then 42 people are actually partnership with Startup Grind. So they invited me to Startup Grind first time. I was a little bit late, but I went to sit down in the first row, and then Guy Kawasaki came, and the famous American Japanese guy. His talk was like incredible, like so inspirational. So I was so shocked. And then afterwards, Lido Hoffman from LinkedIn came, and then and then after Professor Christensen came, and then yeah, I want to see him in HBS Harvard Business School. But as of he was sick, and then after he recovered, before he was going to heaven, he was in happened to be in the Silicon Valley on the stage, and how to measure your life, like his famous TED talk. He like summarized and talked about it. I was like, wow, he was like he is here. And no, sorry, mistake. He didn't talk about how to measure. Anyways, so after Reid Hoffman, Professor Creighton Christensen from Harvard Business School was on the stage. So I was a big fan of him, and I saw him, and I was so amazed. But I found out, inspired by famous, like really famous leaders, that was very important for me. But a more important thing is actually people participated there. They could be next leaders, and they're super friendly. And then when I look at them, I start to talk to them, become like a friend. And then so I didn't know that startup grind. The value is making friends, not contacts. So I
Exactly.
was
Yeah,
thinking,
I
who
love that.
made this? Yeah, who made this community? And then I was like, really fascinated to meet the people who are organizing things. I want to bring this back, the culture, to Japan. That Tamami, the Japanese radio, I met on the street at the Startup Grind theater, Fox Theater in Redwood City. I saw the bunch of like 10 Japanese people like walking around. I said, hey, and then at the time I met Tamami. She was a director of startup grind in Tokyo. Since then, we became friends, and I went when I was back in Japan. I was participating. Then she asked me to be a co-chapter director. So I started to be a MC for actually doing the fireside chat with famous people. I did that for a year, and then she really liked me. Then COVID hit. So I kind of didn't want to stay in Silicon Valley and Tokyo anymore because these two big cities. I was so scared with family to getting, I don't want to,
Yeah,
I
sure,
don't
sure,
want to get
sure.
a COVID.
Yeah.
So my family and I decided to move to my hometown, south part of Japan, Shimonoseki City, get out from the big city. Then my family and Tamami told me to suggest me to open Fukuoka chapter during COVID because Fukuoka is booming. The eighth startup, one of the eighth startup, because it's only 1 hour
Yeah.
away from my hometown. But even 1 hour trip, I didn't want to do it because of the COVID.
Yeah, yeah,
We got
sure.
stuck in the house, right? So I started to do train and explain to startup grind headquarter. We should open Fukuoka chapter. Then I did 8 quiz and officially became a chapter director. And then but we couldn't do the real physical event. So I started to do the online event. So, but even doing the online event, I got the sponsors and I got so many people and actually about 150 people watching. And then every month, like continuing for a year, then I became the one of the actually chapter director of the month. Then COVID was still happening. Then, however, I wanted to open one more chapter, so I opened the Nagoya chapter. And then after 2.5, like 3 years, the COVID was getting smaller, so I came back to Tokyo. Then I took over from Tamami and became a director of Tokyo chapter. And this month, October, we're gonna have a physical event in Tokyo. And also last month we did a physical event, but mainly because I'm super busy, teams are busy. 3 chapters I'm running it, so we do online events each 2 months, and sometimes we do the physical event.
So, just to summarize all this, so startup grind in Japan, just like I believe in other places as well, is all about making friends, right? Not connections, and just building this community of people, right? And just talking, networking, educating, giving some inspirational talks, probably time to time. Is that all you do there, or there are some other things as well you do?
It's all about what we do. Yeah. And getting great speakers, they are successful or they could be very successful in the future. So I try to invite famous people, and also they have actually they are recognized in the industry, respect for people as a person, so he or she could inspire others and for education purpose and inspiration, and not only talk about how they become a successful entrepreneur. I also ask them about their personal life as well, and also personal vision, and also their actually dream. So then people can actually think how people can learn from them and how people can relate to them, and understanding actually we are like the same people, and they have actually strongness and their weakness, and their most of entrepreneurs are also suffering, but they love chaos, and they are not willing to give up, and they try to live in the dream. And that's why I love like a startup grind fireside chat, about 1 hour. Me with as a director, I'm so happy to interview and fireside chat with the great people. And I like to choose good guys from all over the world. Yeah.
Awesome. And before we end our conversation, I will encourage all of our listeners, just find Startup Grind chapter in your country, in your kind of area, and just get there. Just attend at least one meetup, and this might change your whole life. Okay, and now I think, as we talked about Japan, I think we should talk about Georgia as well. So you visited Georgia like for a couple of days, I guess. And can you share like why you visited Georgia? What was the purpose?
Sure. I actually I've been to Georgia twice this year already, And I actually miss Georgia so much. I want to go back right now. And seriously, first time was I decided to celebrate my birthday in July 12th. There are 200 countries around the world, but I decided to celebrate my birthday. I don't know why. I just decided. I feel like it. And because our friends, ambassador of Georgia in Japan, he always recommend me to go. And also, he introduced me great friends in Georgia, in Tokyo. So she went back to Georgia. I want to see her. And I was thinking, like, after Switzerland, Australia, Italy, and then I was asking friends on the HBS WhatsApp group, where should I go next? Then my friend said, come to Azerbaijan. Then after Azerbaijan, Georgia is very close. So I decided to come to Georgia. My friends in Georgia celebrated my birthday. And it took me many great places in Georgia and also met great startups in Georgia. And I really want to come back. And then my friend worked for BTU and talking about me, oh, maybe you should come to BTU again. And then maybe I also want to see the students. And also I was searching for what things like I can do in Georgia. And then I found out actually my friends in Japan, no, friends in Georgia could introduce me DataFest. And then DataFest organized and I was communicating. Then I could become actually their keynote speaker. Then after I got confirmation from the beginning, being a keynote speaker at the DataFest, I really wanted to speak more, not only going to there for one event. That event was fascinating. However, I wanted to reach out to more people. So I was searching for startup grind, of course, because it's my family. So I found startup grind Tbilisi, actually a very powerful community. So I just email to actually on LinkedIn to Corin, and he was kind enough to accept me. Oh, John, come because actually another startup grind director is coming from Taiwan. Actually, represent the Singapore chapter. Then Dubai chapter director is coming. So four of us got together, talk about panel discussion about all different ecosystems and funding at day one at the startup grant Tbilisi. That's where I met Archill, and then in the reception, and then second day, I was invited to give a talk about how the strategy of fundraise at the BTU. I talked for one hour about the strategy of fundraising and how to pitch to investors. After one hour, actually 1 hour Q&A and networking. So students are very enthusiastic. Actually, some students came from the startup grind as well. And the third day, I was invited to Accel event, the angel investment group in Tbilisi. So I could meet angel investor people and had a good conversation. Fourth day, I gave a keynote about the startup ecosystems at the Data Fest. And then fifth day, I was so happy the students, actually 9 of them from the 4 different events, they got together, they became friends, and then they show me to like 2 churches and historical places near Tbilisi. They drove 3 cars and they actually introduced me Georgian like food. And then on the night, I was invited to the dinner by the Bank of Georgia friend, and then I saw the Georgian dancing. So and I met so many great people. Actually, not only Georgian friends, friends from Canada and USA already live in Georgia for over 20 years, some are 80 years. They're doing many kind of businesses. Actually, from Estonia, friend just opened a ramen shop in Tbilisi. So many different people actually now coming to Georgia from all over the world for see the opportunity. And I think this opportunity created by not only, big businessmen. Actually, this opportunity created by startups and young people like you. And I see that Georgia's biggest potential is young people under 20 or under 25, I say. Those people, you guys speak English and full of energy and also computer skills amazing. So Georgia has a full potential because of young people. And I love to work with young people. And I really want to go back to Georgia right now.
Yeah, actually, I can verify that you really went like with just students to Treta. It's just the old capital of Georgia, like near Tbilisi.
Yes,
And I mean,
sounds
not
like a Mitsketa.
Treta.
Mitsketa sounds like I found it in Japanese.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay.
Mitsketa.
Minsketa. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's it.
found it in Japanese.
And like, kudos to you, John, because not everyone would go with just couple students and like spend the whole day after this intensive business days, right? So we really appreciate that, and that's pretty cool. And like, just the final question would be so, and still like, I think we're not there yet as a startup ecosystem, but still, what do you think about Georgia's startup ecosystem? And do you see any potential here?
So much potential because those students come from at least four universities, and also they are telling me about many great universities education, and of course those university education is in English and computer science. Some studying data and AI. So university related startups will be increased in the future, I think, and also big potential is investors will come in the future when like there will be so many young talents becoming entrepreneurs. Investors not dumb, like they are traveling all over the world. I'm sure, like 2 to 3 years people will recognize. So now it's the best time to come to Georgia, work with them, and we can become a global startup together. And also angel investment network is already there, and now it's a famous one is Axel. I'm sure a few years another one and another one and more and more will be developed. And also venture capitals, we don't see much, but more people will definitely come, or some people entrepreneurs becomes have exits in the future, and from Georgia they'll come back to us, giving back to their own community. So they'll create VCs in the future for sure to support young talents. So this is like the beginning of Georgia, but already like I heard there's a few actually one unicorn and from Georgia had an IPO in London. So and more people getting have exits. Not only Georgian will start on startups. I actually met a Japanese few startups registered in Georgia, so people they are not recognized now, but they might be very successful in the future. So more startup are coming from. Also, I met a lady from France doing a startup in Georgia. So more people will definitely come to Georgia, and not only for the tax reason. For the Georgian, they want to work with the Georgian people, like young talents, and build a global startup from Georgia to the world.
Yay! Come to Georgia, everyone. So you're all of you
Yeah.
are super welcome. Thanks, John. I think that's it. I really appreciate
Okay.
your time because I know it's late night in Japan now, and you really kind of took your time and just to spend time with us and my
No,
listeners.
we
And
can keep going till morning. We can
yeah,
we can keep going.
exactly. So thank you once again, and yeah, hope to see you soon back in Georgia.
Of course. Of course. Garba Joss.
Our Jos.